It was the spring of 326 BC. Alexander the Great, after years of relentless conquest, had pushed his army to the very edge of the known world. India. This was a land of myth and legend, of mighty rivers and violent monsoon storms. And there, on the banks of the Hydaspes River, a new and formidable challenge awaited him. King Parasa Tall, proud ruler who commanded a vast army, complete with war elephants that towered over the battlefield like living fortresses. For the very first time, Alexander was about to face a commander as brave and perhaps as brilliant as himself. The Hydaspes River, swollen with monsoon rains, was a churning, deadly barrier between the two armies. Porus waited patiently on the far bank, his forces poised to annihilate any Macedonian who dared to attempt a crossing. 4 days, the two armies simply stared at each other across the raging torrent, a tense stalemate under a stormy sky. Then, one violent night, Alexander made his move. Under the cover of roaring thunder and impenetrable darkness, he secretly led a hand-picked force approach. Working furiously, his men built makeshift rafts and began to cross the furious current. By the time dawn broke, Alexander was on Paras's side of the river. Realizing he had been deceived, Porus marched his army swiftly to meet the invaders. The greatest duel of generals in antiquity was about to begin. Porus arranged his army in a formation unlike anything Alexander had ever encountered. Dominating the front line were 200 war elephants, their tusks plated with armor, their riders ready for the carnage to come. Behind this wall of muscle and ivory, a sea of chariots, cavalry, and infantry stretched across the plain. Surveying this terrifying spectacle, Alexander reportedly smiled. He had spent the long days of waiting, studying his opponent, calculating every possible move, every advantage. He ordered his elite cavalry to strike the Indian left flank a swift, hard blow designed to force Paris to shift his reserves and expose a weakness. As Paris reacted just as predicted, Alexander himself led the decisive charge into the now weakened flank. Behind him, the legendary Macedonian phalanx advanced in perfect order, their long iron spears glittering under the grim monsoon sky. The battle that followed was brutal beyond measure. The war elephants, like unstoppable forces of nature, crashed into the Macedonian lines, trampling men and horses alike. But the iron discipline of Alexander's veterans held firm. They adapted their tactics, targeting the elephants' riders, surrounding the colossal beasts, and using their pikes to turn the tide of chaos. Through the blood and mud, Alexander and Porus fought like warriors born of legend. Porus, mounted on his own magnificent elephant, was wounded multiple times, but refused to yield, continuing to fight even as his army began to collapse around him. By sunset, the field was Alexander's, but the Indian king's incredible courage had won his enemy's deepest respect. When the wounded King Porus was finally brought before him, Alexander asked a simple question. "Tell me, how would you wish to be treated?" Without hesitation, the proud Indian king replied, "As a king." A smile touched Alexander's lips. "For my own sake, Porus, you shall be," he answered. "Now ask for what you will." But Porus replied that everything was included in his first request. In a stunning act of grace, Alexander not only restored Porus to his throne but also expanded his kingdom, making him a powerful ally. The conqueror had found more than just a worthy enemy. He had found a mirror of his own indomitable spirit. But this was the end of the line. Beyond the Hydaspes, Alexander's weary men refused to march further. They had reached the edge of their world, and the absolute limit of their ambition. At the Battle of Hydaspes, Alexander's unparalleled glory met its reflection in the courage of another. This was not just a battle of armies, but a clash of two unconquerable souls. The king who conquered the world had finally met the king who could not be conquered. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into history, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more stories like this one. We'll see you next time.